Nu skal vi nemlig videre til næste tematiske nedslag, hvor vi skal se på det, noget med vægt, og hvor jeg også kan afsløre så meget, at der er også noget med nogle sociale forskelle, der betyder noget her. Og til at fortælle os om resultaterne af sundhedsprofilen her, der har vi Ida Strøyer Hendriksen, som også er fra Sundhedsprofil-teamet. Ja. Værsgo, scenen er din.
Tak skal du have. Tak for ordet. Jeg vil fortælle jer om nogle af resultaterne fra vores kapitel, der handler om vægt. Og først vil jeg starte med at præsentere fordelingen af regionens borgere i de forskellige vægtgrupper i 2025. Og vægtgrupperne er defineret på baggrund af BMI. Sundhedsprofilen 2025 viser, at lidt over halvdelen af regionens borgere har normalvægt. Ganske få borgere har undervægt, og vi ser, at lidt under halvdelen, 46%, har overvægt. Når vi opdeler overvægt yderligere, så ser vi, at 32% af regionens borgere har moderat overvægt, og 14% har svær overvægt. Ja. Og nu vil jeg fortælle jer lidt om, hvordan det ser ud i forhold til udviklingen over tid. Når vi kigger på undervægt, så er der sket en begrænset ændring over tid siden 2010. Når vi ser på normalvægt, så har vi tidligere set en faldende tendens i andelen af borgere, der har normalvægt, mens vi omvendt for andelen af borgere, der har moderat overvægt og svær overvægt, tidligere har set en stigende tendens. Som vi allerede har været lidt inde på, så fra 2021 til 2025 er der sket en begrænset ændring i andelen af borgere, der har henholdsvis normalvægt og moderat overvægt og svær overvægt. Udviklingen er altså stagneret, og det bryder med de udviklingstendenser, vi har set i de tidligere sundhedsprofiler. Ja. Når vi så ser på sammenhængen mellem uddannelse og svær overvægt, så ser vi, at der er en næsten 3 gange så høj forekomst af svær overvægt blandt borgere, der har en grundskoleuddannelse, sammenlignet med borgere, der har en lang videregående uddannelse. Vi ser altså, at næsten hver 4. borger med en grundskoleuddannelse har svær overvægt. Og det viser altså, at der er lavere forekomst ved længere uddannelse, og det er et tegn på en markant social ulighed, som vi også ser uafhængig af, hvilket mål vi benytter for social ulighed. For eksempel så ser vi også en højere forekomst af svær overvægt i de kommuner og bydele, der har færrest ressourcer, sammenlignet med de kommuner og bydele, der har flere sociale ressourcer. Og den her variation i forekomsten på tværs af kommuner og bydele og sundhedsråd har vi faktisk illustreret på nogle kort, som I kan se et eksempel på her for svær overvægt. Og det er nogle kort, vi har lavet for hver hovedindikator i hver af kapitlerne i rapporten. Og hvis vi kigger lidt nærmere på, hvordan kortet skal forstås, så er det sådan, at jo mørkere farven er i den pågældende kommune eller bydel, jo højere forekomst er der, og omvendt, jo lysere farve, jo lavere forekomst. Og når vi så ser på eksemplet her med svær overvægt, så ser vi, at forekomsten varierer på tværs af kommuner og bydele fra 8% i bydelene Nørrebro, Indre By og Gentofte Kommune, hvor vi også kan se, at farven på kortet er lysere til 28% i Brøndby Kommune. De nye sundhedsråd er også markeret på vores kort, indtegnet med den her orange-sorte stiplede linje. Og når vi ser på eksemplet med svær overvægt, så ser vi, at forekomsten varierer på tværs af sundhedsrådene fra 12% i Sundhedsråd Hovedstaden til 21% i Sundhedsråd Amager og Vestegnen. Ja. Og de her kort kan I dykke mere ned i for hver vores hovedindikator i rapportens supplerende materiale, som I kan finde på Sundhedsprofilens hjemmeside. Så de er desværre ikke i den trykte rapport, men det kan I finde der. Det var alt, hvad jeg havde.
Tusind tak. Tusind tak for det. Nu skal vi have et perspektiv på det her. Vi skal nemlig have Jennifer Lynn Baker, der er forskningsleder på Center for Klinisk Forskning og Forebyggelse, med op. Og nu sker der noget, som er, at Jennifer er rigtig god til dansk og forstår det rigtig godt. Så jeg bliver sådan set ved med at tale dansk. Hun får bare også spørgsmålene på engelsk, så vi lige er helt sikre på, at både Jennifer og jeg ved, hvad vi spørger om. Om jeg så lige får oversat det rigtigt, det tager vi, som det nu er, ikke? Men hvis du nu ser på udviklingen samlet set, hvad er så det vigtigste, vi skal forstå om overvægt i 2025? If you look at the overall development, what do you see as the most important thing we should understand about obesity in 2025?
Well, I think Ida set it up perfectly. The most important message is, if we take only the overall picture, we miss the important details. We miss the inequality that we're seeing in the prevalence of obesity by the different areas in which people live and grow up, and by the different educations which people are entering into and achieving.
Vi ser, at udviklingen i moderat og svær overvægt ser ud til sådan at være fladet ud siden 2021. Er det gode nyheder, eller er det mere noget med, at vi har ramt et plateau, som er svært at bryde? Du forstår det egentlig godt. Ja, du gør det nemlig godt. Det er jo det. Men du kigger lige på mig, hvis du vil have det på engelsk. Hun er nemlig bedre, end hun vil.
It's always good news when something has flattened out when it comes to the prevalence, but, and this is a really big but, the levels are too high. These levels of overweight and obesity are harming health. We know that obesity leads to 230 or more different diseases. So we can get excited that, okay, we've stopped the potential rise for now, because it can always go up again. But we're also really, if we focus too much on the stagnation, we're missing the fact that we have too many people living with overweight and obesity who need help. So I think it's really important we take the very long-term perspective. And if we do go back in Denmark over the last 100 years, we can see the prevalence has gone up, stagnated, gone up, and stagnated again. So we should be happy that we're at a better level than ever before, but we should not be complacent, because it could go up again if we stop doing what we're currently doing, and if we don't actually go for more actions.
Den sociale forskel, det er jo også noget af det, der er meget tydeligt. Hvorfor betyder den der sociale forskel stadig så meget, når det gælder risikoen for svær overvægt?
På engelsk, tak.
Why does the social inequality continue to play such a strong role when it comes to the risk of severe obesity?
Yes, and of course, if I knew that, I would have 1 million kroners. I mean, it's a really big question. But I think we do know that when you're in an environment which has less resources around you, there's something about that environment that interacts with our biology. So let's view obesity through the lens of biology. It all comes down to the fat cell, the adipocyte, and it's something we need. If we don't have it, we wouldn't be alive. But as the environment has changed around us, our millions of years of biology haven't caught up. There is something we know about these different areas, which are more deprived by the different indices. There's something there that just isn't as promoting as a lifestyle that works with our biology. There's just something there. We don't know exactly what it is. People are researching this all across Europe and also within Denmark, that is really interacting poorly with our biology. And so I think it really tells us, if we want to look at obesity, both in terms of prevention and treatment, we need to take a big social lens on this. This is not an individual problem. This is something we need to take a structural approach to.
Men er vi gode nok til det der med at se overvægt som noget ret komplekst? Do you think we're good enough at understanding obesity as something, a rather complex issue?
Well, I view obesity as a disease, and in fact an adiposity-based chronic disease. And if we look at obesity through the lens of biology, I think we can actually gain some better understandings into what is leading to it, but also a better idea of how we can effectively prevent and treat it. Because it's biology and our bodies want to store fat, we need it to live. And if we do lose weight, our bodies really resist this. They fight this. We need to look at the biology and say, if we're looking at prevention, it has to be something long-term. A short-term intervention will not be as effective against a chronic disease as we would wish. But additionally, we need to consider treatment as well. A short-term treatment, again, will not be effective against our biology. So when I look at the causes and consequences, I look at the big picture, and I say it's not either or. It's prevention and treatment, the entire continuum. If we focus only on prevention, then you know what? We're going to skip out on the 46% of our citizens who are living with overweight or obesity. And on the other hand, if we focus only on treatment, you know what? We're forgetting the other people too. So it's the both that comes together to really effectively work against these different causes, because obesity is multifactorial, it's heterogeneous, it's not one cause for everybody. So I think if we can view it this way, we'll have a more effective understanding of really how to address the issue.
Hvis man så ser på overvægt i sådan et livsperspektiv, hvornår begynder den her ulighed så for alvor at sætte ind, og er det noget, der grundlægges meget tidligt, og du får det også på engelsk, eller ser vi forskellene opstå senere i livet? Altså, if we look at obesity from a life course perspective, when do these inequalities really begin to take shape?
That's a loaded question, because we do know there's intergenerational transmission of the risk of overweight and obesity. So this really tells us we not only have to look across one life course, we have to look across generations. And I think this is maybe some of what we're seeing with the inequalities in the different areas. Children are born into an environment that is more promotive of overweight or obesity. They're growing up in that environment. They have children in that environment. And you can see how the cycle can continue. So I always say the earlier the better. Before birth is fantastic. But on the other hand, even from a life course perspective, it's never too late. Because not everybody has overweight or obesity, fantastic, but quite a few people are at risk. So I think we have multiple points of prevention and intervention.
Noget af det sidste, vi måske skal tale om, det er det der med, at vi ser, at svær overvægt hænger tæt sammen med dårligere trivsel og livskvalitet, og hvordan det er, vi skal forstå den der sammenhæng. Hvad kommer først? Hvad forstærker hvad? The data shows a strong link between severe obesity and lower well-being and quality of life.
Yeah.
How should we understand that relationship?
Well, I think as you alluded to, it's bidirectional. So it can be for certain people, again, overweight and obesity have multiple causes. We do know stories from people living with obesity that there's a traumatic life event. They felt terrible, then they gained weight. But we also know that if you are living with overweight or obesity, it affects all body systems. So it can actually affect your brain and how you feel. So it's not an either or, it's a bidirectional association, which of course makes it complicated to really address as a broad scheme of things. But again, having the understanding that it could be either or, and we just have to be open to different causes is the way to look at that.
Finally, if we were to prioritize only one thing, and I know it's difficult because you have said that it's very complex, but if we should look at only one thing in the coming year, what would you point to?
Well, if I look at the total picture of what we have here in Region H, but also across Denmark, we currently have a fragmented system of prevention and care. What I would really wish to see as we're going through this healthcare reform is if we could have a national action plan that would align how the different areas are addressing prevention and treatment. And in doing this, we would have something which is more equal across the different areas. And I think ideally, in addition to preventing and treating overweight and obesity, but particularly obesity here, we could work to reduce some of the social inequalities. We could reduce some of this postcode lottery idea that if you live here, this is what's available. If you live there, that's what's available. So I think if we can convince our government with all of our power here to really step up and put a national action plan in place, I think it'd be to the benefit of society.
Tusind tak. Thank you very much. Lad vi give hende en kæmpe hånd.